I'm Keith Martin, and we're back here at the 61st Annual Pebble Beach Concours Elegance with another Concours Conversation. I'm with Prescott Kelly from Westport, Connecticut, and the 1949 Gmund Coupe that he has entered here. Tell us about this car.
Well, the car is owned by Hans-Peter Porsche, one of the four sons of Ferry Porsche, in turn the son of Ferdinand Porsche, the progenitor of the family. It's considered a prototype car. It was one of the 50 cars that we call Gmund built cars, which are the cars that were started in the old sawmill when the factory employees were on exile from Stuttgart, way off in Carthagena. It's largely a hand-built car, uses a Volkswagen pan. This particular model has an engine based on a Kugelwagen, puts out about 38 horsepower. It has been restored with about 8,000 man-hours in it by some very good friends of ours, led by Cam Ingram and his team at Rhodes Scholars in North Carolina. The emphasis on this car was to restore it in a way that replicated the way the car was built in Gmund. So it has many, many flaws in the rivets, in little threads that are loose, on the binding. It uses an original cotton binding with wax between the steel chassis and the aluminum body. And every flaw in the car, every little misplaced rivet, every little dimple is because the car was hand-built by craftsmen working in an old sawmill. So the parts of the car that look rough are actually that way absolutely on purpose to try to replicate the exact originality with the way the car was built. And I think it's an absolutely stunning job.
Tell me, Prescott, where did this car live all its life? How did you find it?
Well, the car lived a big chunk of its life in Sweden, was imported by a gentleman up in the Oakland area who's a long-term Porsche aficionado named Jim Barrington. Barrington had an assemblage of 4 or 5 Gmund Coupes. This was one of them. He in turn sold it to a collector in Louisville, Kentucky named Neil Huffman. When Neil passed away, a large portion of his cars went to Rhodes Scholars in Raleigh, North Carolina, 16 of them. This was one. Hans-Peter Porsche was looking for cars, and I introduced Hans-Peter to Cam Ingram at Rhodes Scholars. Hans-Peter wanted the car, bought it, and hired Cam to restore the car for him. It's been a 2-year effort, working night and day, and this is the first time the car's been out and shown in public.
Now, there aren't many of these cars left. How did you know what authentic was when you were restoring it?
The way we knew what authentic was that Cam Ingram probably spent 2,000 hours studying other cars, and it's fortunate his father has one in the Ingram collection of about 60 Porsches, and that's car number 17. So Cam looked at about a dozen of these cars. He looked at every photograph we could find in any archive in the world to replicate all of the little exterior tids and bits. The interior restorer will tell you that for every 200 exterior pictures, there's one of an interior. And the hardest part of the car to get correct was what Jean Noel did on the interior, because there was no photo documentation on it.
Prescott, so let me ask you a question. How does this car relate to other 356s? If you were to point out 1 or 2 bits of DNA that you think have continued on, what would they be?
Okay, the DNA in this car is all Porsche 356. As you well know, the prototype was a mid-engine roadster. When they built the Gmund Coupes, they reverted to the Volkswagen layout of having squab seats in the back and throwing the engine behind the rear axle. That became the prototypical design for all 356s and, of course, for 911s carrying forward. The genes in this car that you can readily see are the flat opposed 4 motor, which was based on a Volkswagen motor. Later on, Porsche developed all their own pieces, but also the shape that Erwin Kominda pinned, which is this beautiful little envelope shape, what we call the upside-down bathtub, or the bathtub Porsches. And this fundamental shape lived all the way through 1965 in the 356 CSC.
Prescott, thank you very much. We're here looking at this 1949 Porsche Gmund Coupe, a car that has been restored to purposefully imperfect standards.